arrangements for ambulance probably didn't work, actually, because the spread increased. Ravi, thank you. Vicky's in Wakefield tonight. Vicky.
Yeah, hi, Tom.
Hi.
Can I just ask you a very quick question before I go on about what I want to talk to you about? Can you just tell me what is the point of having the vaccine? Because we have now 38 million people who've had the first and just under 23 million who've had the second. And we are 14 months on and we are still living in what I feel is still a lockdown. You started your show saying what is a lockdown and what isn't. And I feel like we are. Most people, I believe, would have thought that when this vaccine came out and Boris Johnson was promoting it on his pedestal, that normality would have started by now, and it hasn't. And you know why? Because it isn't going to. Why? Because it's a virus and it will mutate and it's normal. We have to live with this and not fear it, basically. And I'm fed up of my freedom, as I'm sure a lot of people are, being taken away and having no say in it. We are adults and we can think for ourselves. I have no problem wearing a mask and I've no problem in washing my hands. Believe you me, I've always washed my hands, believe it or not.
Well, I don't need to believe it or not. I assume that you do.
But this situation cannot go on.
Have you had the vaccine?
No.
Have you been eligible to have the vaccine?
Yes.
Can I ask why you have exercised your absolute free choice not to have it?
Well, it's just the same of what you've probably heard before. You know, I don't have the confidence in it. Okay. Let's face it, the government don't have the confidence in it.
Not sure that's true, but okay.
Well, I believe that, Tom, is the truth. They don't have the confidence
Vicky, you're absolutely entitled to believe what you like, whether it's right or wrong, and you are absolutely entitled to exercise your free choice not to have the vaccine. I don't really want to argue with you on that anymore because we'll just go round in circles.
No, listen, Tom, I'm not ringing up to argue with you. I'm just annoyed at the situation.
All I'd say is, if you're somebody that is desperate to get back to normal, desperate to have your freedom restored, desperate to go back to the way life was in 2019 and 2018 and 2017, take the vaccine.
Tom, what have I just said to you? 30 million people have had the first, just under 23 million have had the second. Are we in normality?
So the reason why we are...
We're still being told to self-isolate. Okay. We're still being told to not allow people in our homes and wash our hands over and over again.
Well, look,
there is no normality here, whether you have the vaccine or not.
Can I put this to you? Because it comes back to the question that you wanted to ask me before you wanted to make your point, which is, why are we doing this? Why are we still having restrictions imposed even though 20 million people have received the second dose?
Because it's a virus and it will mutate. And we're going to constantly get this.
But can I just come back to try and answer that? Because it may well be that the vaccines
And also, Tom, can I just say, I'm really sorry to cut you off, but I am fed up of forgetting about the people who are affected by these lockdowns and the sense of hysteria that the news is constantly portraying and what it's doing to people's mental health.
I totally agree.
What it's done in the past for people getting in for the cancer treatment.
Couldn't agree more.
There is more to life than coronavirus.
Absolutely right. Which is why, in order to get out of these perpetual lockdowns and worries about restrictions to your freedom, the safest and best thing, the most freeing thing to do is to take the vaccine. And the reason... Hang on a sec.
Well, let me answer it. You're not understanding me, Tom. You're not understanding me.
I really am. But I'm just trying to make the point that the only reason why a lockdown would need to be imposed is if the NHS becomes so at risk that it's going to fall over. The people who are most likely to cause the NHS to fall over are the ones who haven't been vaccinated and are therefore at greater risk of catching again. Hang on. I promise I'll let you back in.
Okay, thank you.
The ones who are at greater risk of catching this and needing hospital treatment.
Right.
You are at a greater risk of that by dint of not having the vaccine.
Yeah.
And the reason why these measures are still in place now is because, for whatever reason, the scientists and the government do not believe they've reached a stage whereby you can freely make that choice not to have the vaccine without the consequences that would come if you were in your many numbers to overload the NHS being seriously ill. That's the reason. So, Vicky, I just gently suggest, regardless of how you've come to your decision, which you are freely entitled to make, and whatever, if you don't want another lockdown ever again, which I don't want either, get the vaccine.
But, Tom, we're nearly approaching, aren't we, herd immunity in a way. I mean, with 67 million people in the UK.
Well, you'd have thought so, but clearly
and
not.
60 million people have had a mixture of the first and the second dose. So once this just under 23 million, 38 million have had the second dose, then that's a lot of people. That's 60 million or just over altogether.
But nobody is yet able to say, Vicky, with any certainty, and this isn't, I'm not having a go at you here, this is a science question.
Mm-hmm.
How many people need to have had both doses for the risk to the NHS posed by those people who haven't had any goes away? And at the moment, no one is quite able to answer that for a number of reasons, including they don't quite yet know how long the immunity conferred by the vaccine lasts. But
Tom,
in the short to medium term, the
God.
safest thing to do is to take the vaccine if you don't want lockdown.
The government can't play God, and I feel they're trying to do that. What they're going to do, go out and catch it in the net. It's not going to happen.
Right, well,
live with the virus, and it's as simple as that.
I'm trying to, but I'm afraid, Vicky, it is people like your good self with your free choice that is going to prevent the 30-odd million and growing number of people to be able to live normally if you and the cohort who don't choose to have the vaccine continue to present a risk to the NHS. It is going... And Vicky, I'm past the point of caring about the reason why you came to your decision to not take the vaccine.
And you know what,
but it makes me
I
so
really
angry.
understand what you're saying, and I do understand it. But we're washing our hands, we're self-isolating, we're staying away from people, we're wearing masks, people are getting the jabs, the first and the second, and we're still in this situation. I mean, and you're telling me, do you know what? You're going to eat your hat when I ring you back in 6 months' time and we're in another lockdown.
Well, do you know what, Vicky? Do you know what? I will happily munch down on whatever hat you wish me to munch down on.
Well,
but I'll tell you this, Vicky, I'll tell you this. The reason why we'll be in lockdown will be for one of two reasons. Either a variant pops along that gets around the vaccine. We've not got any control of that. That's not up to us. And the second reason, I'm afraid, Vicky, will be because of people like you.
No, you can't blame people for having a freedom of choice. Listen,
it's
Tom,
not the freedom of choice I'm blaming you for. It's the consequences of that choice.
Tom, I don't want to walk down the street and get an inhale smoke when someone's walking past me smoking, but I have to do that. I have to do that. That's passive smoking, is that?
I don't feel I should have to lock down on the basis of the risk you and others who choose not to have the vaccine present to the NHS in the future. Vicky, we've got to leave it there. We'll talk about the testing and those events that happened in Liverpool where there were thousands of people who were tested for COVID. They went and had a great old time. Turns out there was no COVID present, or pretty much. Getting back to normal would be very nice, please. We'll talk about that in just a moment. 10:34.
Yeah!